former captain of ours, always will be a guy that we look up to as that leader, a guy that I definitely go to battle with. Austin Blythe, welcome back to the podcast, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you, man.
It's great coming back. It's crazy what you guys have done. I don't remember. I was before episode 100, wasn't I? And now you guys are on 400 something.
Yeah, it's like 400.
It's been a wild ride, man. But yeah, you were at least 300 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And it's so stupid that we still have this podcast, but here we are.
No, it's not stupid at all. You guys do it. You guys, like you said, it's a quality show.
Yeah, that's honestly debatable. But so you just hung up the cleats, man. What's been new for you for the last few months?
Not too much new yet. It's been, I guess, the last few weeks the off-season programs have started, so that's been a little change. Not reporting for those, but not having to lift every day, not being upset when I don't get a workout in is a nice change, and just allows for a lot of flexibility and time given back to Kylie and the kids. So it's been very, very nice so far.
How much harder is it to be a full-time dad than a player?
Way harder.
Yeah.
Way harder.
You don't have that escape.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be like, hey, Kylie, I got to jump on this flight to go play a game and chill in the hotel for a few hours by myself. See ya. I don't have that anymore.
I remember listening to McAfee's podcast, and he would talk about like guys report for camp, and like the young guys are like bitching, complaining about sleeping in the hotel and stuff, and like some of the vets are like, dude, this is the best sleep I get all year.
Clearly don't have kids. Camp is a great time. Especially now they've got all the rules and stuff in where it's like the ramp up period, the acclimatization period or whatever. And I probably just butchered that word, but yeah, camp is beautiful these days in the NFL.
Where did you do your camps at? Did you guys do them at colleges or?
So in Indianapolis, we did it at a Division III school. LA was at UC Irvine. Kansas City was Northwest Missouri State. And then Seattle was they did it at home, which was nice.
So it kind of brings me to my next point. Been around the block a little bit, huh?
Yes.
What was it like going from a 6th round draft pick, correct? 7th round draft
only
pick.
Pick of the year too. We almost didn't have one.
Yep. I saved the streak.
Saved the day.
Just
Best
by a
team
few
only
picks.
got one pick too. Yeah. What was it like going from a 7th round draft pick to forging an 8-year career in the NFL
and winning a Super Bowl, dude?
Didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
Thanks though.
Damn, I'm sorry, bro. I
really
thought you were on the Rams team that won it.
Yep, I missed a Super Bowl both in LA and in Kansas City by 1 year. So each year
I thought you were on that Rams team. That's a low blow by me.
Obviously, hindsight is always 20/20. I turned down an offer to go back to LA, albeit a horrible offer, coming off a really pretty good year in 2020, and I decided to go to Kansas City for the same money, but obviously it's not because of taxes and all that good stuff, and not having to live in LA. So I made that decision, and obviously I wish I wouldn't have, given how my year in Kansas City went, and the Rams obviously won. But it was good to see all the guys that I played with and I'm still friends with win that one, obviously. But it's going to be such a shitty feeling if I decided to retire after 1 year in Seattle, and Seattle's got a good team this year. So you never know. If I miss a Super Bowl 3 years in a row by 1 year, I'm man, I don't even know what I'd do.
That would be that might get you back out of retirement, huh?
Yeah, it might. I'll be like, hey, or just pump that as a marketing for myself. Like, hey, I'll play for you for 1 year. You pay me a lot of money, and then the next year you'll win the Super Bowl.
You're winning the Super Bowl guaranteed because my track record is 100%.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about that Seattle team, because Geno Smith had a hell of a year out of nowhere. Like he's been around the league for 10, 12 years now, right?
at this point. I can't remember. He's over 10 or right at 10 maybe.
Right. Like he gets drafted by the Jets, I think. It doesn't really work out because,
Mhm.
that's where careers go to die. But, kind of just rides it out and then just has a great year out of nowhere.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was surprising on one hand, just being a fan or a player in the NFL, knowing Geno's path and how he's kind of bounced around just like I have, and then he gets a chance. Last year or 2 years ago, I guess, when Russell broke his finger or whatever, and he came in and he did fine. I thought from an outside perspective, I thought he played really well. Just not a great cast around him, I guess, or they didn't play as well as they did because of a lot of the same pieces this year.
Mhm.
But the way he played and performed this year was not a surprise at the same time because of how I saw him compete in camp and prepare in camp, and then week to week in the season. I mean, he was on it. He was dialed in. The guys around him were dialed in. Um, and it helps when Lockett's playing well, when DK's playing well, and then we've got that rookie running back. Unfortunately, Rashad Penny broke his leg, and he was having a great start to his year. And then Ken comes in and just out of nowhere just is breaking ankles and scoring touchdowns. So
He was an animal. He was like
yeah,
a fantasy playmaker.
yeah, he
Guys won
was.
their leagues because of him.
Yep, I know. It doesn't surprise me though either because I mean, he's that typical Michigan State runner where he's got a lot of patience and then he hits the hole and
Very physical.
physical, finds daylight and then just scores. So it was a lot of fun playing there, not only because of the year we had, but the organization and the coaches that are on the staff there. It's just an elite atmosphere and just place to go to work. I mean, you go into the team meeting room every day. It's probably about at least a 45-minute team meeting, and you're shooting hoops against each other. You're hooting and hollering. You're watching all kinds of videos. It's so
You've
much
never
fun.
heard of Pete Carrol meetings, Kevin?
Well, I mean, I remember watching the USC 30 for 30, and he had Will Ferrell and Snoop Dogg would come to practice all the time. But I didn't know he was doing this in the middle of team meetings.
It's the same kind of stuff. Literally, you put 30 a highlight, a wide receiver and a cornerback or John back and forth the day before in practice. He shows it as a highlight for one of the guys, and then as a redemption, they go up and shoot 30 seconds on free throws or something, and it's a hoop, right in the team meeting room, right on stage, and they go for 30 seconds, and a lot of bricks go up, but it's very, very entertaining, and it's a massive juxtaposition from Andy Reid and Kansas City's team meetings. I mean, you were in and out in maybe 60 seconds. So it
That's
totally
a big juxtaposition of KF's team meetings also.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, you knew when you're walking into KF's team meeting and you got the tape pulled up. You're in for a long one.
A long one.
I don't know if
I
it's the same.
just got a handful of clips here. We're just gonna go over a few clips here.
Yeah, and then 30 clips later, an hour later, you're walking out.
All right, so let's. I think we'll cut the clips here. I just got a couple more points here.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh man, I actually do miss listening to KF speak on a weekly basis though. The dude is just a wealth of wisdom. But
yeah, and he could pull back from the 90s.
No, my favorite, honestly, when he would pull back from when he GA'd at Pittsburgh days, when he's pulling back from the 70s and before he was even an Iowa coach.
Yep. And I think that's a mark of a good coach. I mean, just being able to pull that kind of knowledge from everywhere is something all the good ones do.
Have you seen the clips of McVay doing that?
Yeah.
Just straight out of his brain. Those are impressive.
Yep. I played in some of the clips I've seen. He's referenced games that I've been a part of, and I'm like, no clue. Nope.
So, you played it for a lot of different coaches and a lot of different styles. What do you feel like there's a specific style out there that breeds the most success or gets the most out of their players? Or is it just kind of whatever works for each program, each guy, each team, do you feel like?
Yeah, I think there's similarities between the successful organizations and cultures. I think there's a line that the good ones, the great organizations, perennial successful seasons, there's a fine line between letting guys be themselves and have fun and be loose and all that good stuff, at the same time getting your work done and doing it at a high level. I think when coaches and teams have that kind of freedom to do that stuff, it's like any job that, their workplace, how that how your employees feel about the workplace. Is it fun? Is it relaxing? Can you be yourself? And generally, those people, those workplaces, they perform. They earn success, and it's really no different for football. If you let guys show who they are, have fun doing it, but at the same time being firm enough to get your work done when you need to, is really, I think, the mark of any good organization. I think the team, or the example opposite of that that's popping into my head, is the Giants when Joe Judge was the coach.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that in the NFL. I mean, for the most part, you're dealing with grown men, professionals. You can't treat them like college kids anymore. And I feel like that probably happens more than not, obviously.
For the fans listening who may not be familiar, was he like a really strict type guy? Is like, takes no bullshit and then like really by the letter of the law type guy, or what?
Who's that? Joe Judge?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think one story I've heard is, he makes guys do up downs just for doing up downs. Like, it's obvious if guy gets in trouble, he's late, he's breaks the law, whatever. If he does, yeah, that's one thing, which still is probably a stretch for a grown man to make them do up downs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in the locker rooms, a lot of pro players in the locker rooms aren't going to like that. But another story is, he's a guy that preaches, being on time, being prompt, being ready. And he would constantly show up 10 minutes late, 20 minutes late, 30 minutes late to team meetings. Yes. That blew my mind. It's a story from a fellow Hawkeye. So
he got ran out of that organization quick. They weren't having that.
Yep.
What else? What else are you doing? Like you're the head coach. What else are you doing, man?
No doubt. I don't know. You'd think you'd have your priorities lined up enough where you could get to your own team meeting that you set on time.
That's absolutely wild. And yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? It's like once you get it to the NFL, it's like, yeah, you'll have some young guys who like came out of college early that are like 21 to 23. But majority of the team is 25 years older, right? It's like you're starting to deal with grown-ass men, right? So they're not going to take to the physical
grown-ass men who make more money than you.
Well, that and like real life still happens even though you play football. You get married, right. You have kids, your kids get sick, whatever comes up, you need to deal with. And that's the coaches that I've really respected the most, is those coaches who will be, something comes up. Like this year, for instance, we played in Kansas City right before Christmas, on Christmas Eve, at noon. It was a noon kickoff. And I was like, hey, Pete, can I, just drive on up to Williamsburg after the game? He's like, yep, no problem. See you on Monday, or when we go back to work? Monday. See you on Monday. So I spent Christmas here in Iowa for the first time in years. So that sort of stuff, I think it probably helped that I was, 7 years in, but but young guys probably not going to get away with that. But, stuff comes up. Hey, I got to take my kid to the doctor, or, Kyle and I have been through our fair share of IVF stuff, and coaches have always been good about those kinds of appointments. So that stuff happens, and the good coaches understand that and, allow for that sort of stuff to happen. And if you don't, you're going to lose your locker room really fast. And I think that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. What's the most well-run organization you played for? Because you played for McVay, who's a super new school guy. Andy Reid's old school. Pete Carroll's kind of like one of the more unique coaches to ever have coached, like a bunch of different organizations.
Yeah. Again, I think the Rams and the Seahawks organization are probably run the most similar of the ones that I've been a part of. Kansas City is one of those organizations. It was kind of unique there. I think so. Andy Reid, he's got a really loose sense of, I don't know how to describe it. It's really hard to describe because he's firm at practice. He doesn't let a lot of stuff slide, but at the same time, guys are super loose, having fun, that sort of thing. And Coach Reid is not like, he's a serious dude. Like, he's not joking around. He doesn't crack many jokes. When he does, it's super dry, that sort of thing. But then, Sean, he's a young guy. He came in, kind of changed. I think he was the innovator of how organizations kind of switched. Practices aren't, beat you down, nail you into the dirt, break you down to build you back up, sort of thing. So I think he kind of started that, which was a lot of fun. Kind of ruined me for other places because
that's got to be the best feeling ever, though.
Yeah, once you're there, it's like, yeah.
You'd have 2 padded practices, and then the next day would be just helmets. Kluve.
Austin, my man, what's up? Apologies.
No,
I'm a part of that dad life now, so
yeah, I appreciate that. It makes me feel good.
Lauren's coaching some volleyball, so it was dad got bedtime.
Yep, I understand that fully.
How's dad life for you?
Good, really good. So, like I said, I put my kids down, and this is why we're doing it so late. So,
nice, love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Anyway,
now
your oldest is like almost 5 now, right? That's a little early for bedtime, no?
My oldest is almost 7 now.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Is he putting the pads on yet?
I don't know if I'm going to let him.
Really?
No?
Seriously?
Well, I mean, not this early. Obviously, like when he gets to junior high, yeah, he'll play if he wants to play. But all that youth football stuff, there's so many like bad techniques and fundamentals. Like
you're right. There really is no benefit to playing.
Teach them the rules, teach them positions, all that stuff. But they don't need to tackle. They don't need to hit each other.
Yeah. Don't let me interrupt you. You were talking about something about getting
organizations. Yeah.
You're getting shoved in the dirt. I heard something about getting shoved in the dirt or something like that.
I wasn't personally, but Sean McVay started that kind of train. I feel like of practices kind of being a little bit laid back. You wear those the GPS monitors that tell guys how far they ran, how fast, how much explosive actions they took, how much force they met with other people, and all that good stuff.
You always looked good in the bra at Iowa, I thought.
Well, thanks, man.
The GPS bra.
That's the only time I ever wore them. I didn't have to wear them after that.
They didn't have you in GPS?
No, they did, but so they put them in the back of your jerseys. I guess technology has come a long ways, apparently, but yeah. So he was kind of the innovator for all that stuff. Their medical staff, training staff really worked kind of in tandem with the strength staff and the coaches to be like, hey, practice would be dialed back this day, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. Then you go to Kansas City, and we're running 80 to 90 plays every practice, 100 plays in camp. And it's brutal. Not obviously every string's not running that many, but it's like a cumulative 80, 90, 100 plays every day. Doesn't matter what day it is. Could be the middle of the season, camp, whatever it is. So I went there, and then you go back to Seattle, and Seattle's kind of the Sean McVay school type. Hey, we're going to take care of guys, which personally I think you need to do, because if your best guys can't be on the field, aren't feeling good, you're not going to win games, especially in the NFL. The parity is the margin of error is just too small in the NFL. Everybody's good. So if your best guys aren't feeling good, aren't playing good, what's the point of practicing hard? That's hard. You can still practice hard, but you can do it in a smart way. So
KF always used to say we need our best guys playing the best.
Exactly. And that carries on at any level. But the best organization that I felt like I played for was Seattle. And I don't know if that's like recency bias or what it is, but I just had a ton of fun. It wasn't work. I'd go in, I had for the first time in a lot of years, I played in Seattle going to work thinking like, all right, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to have a good day, where I had a lot more of those days than days where like, oh, wow, this sucks. Like I don't want to be here. Like I can't wait to be done, that sort of thing. So that was the first time. This year was the first time in a long time that I had had a lot of fun. Had more of those days than not. So
I got a question for you. Being an 8-year NFL vet, right?
7.
7-year NFL vet.
I don't want to give myself too much credit.
You pussy.
We'll give you 8. If you want an extra inch, we'll give it to you, bud.
You've got 7. You've got infinity more than us 3 combined.
So we always used to break down a whole lot of like our workouts, our practices of like, like you call it up and like you break it down. Let's go to work, right? It's like, hey, let's get after it. Let's go to work. Let's grind. And then once you're in the NFL, it's like, actually, this is my job. Let's go to work. Does it ever start to feel like actual work, like a job's like, hey, I got to go do this thing? Or like, is it still a game 7 years later in the NFL? Like, you retired at what? What are you, 30?
30.
So you've been playing this game for 20 years, right?
Old man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll go back to my point that I made about, guys now in the NFL that you get married, you have kids, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we're still playing a game, but at the same time, when kids aren't feeling good at home, your wife's going through stuff, your wife's making all the sacrifices for you to play a game, like that stuff impacts your life and your train of thought. Like, so there are many times in my career where it was, yes, I have to go to work. I don't have a choice here, kind of. And I say that's way dramatic, but I got to go to work. Like, I can't deal with this right now. So there is an element to, yeah, you're playing a game, but at the same time, you are performing a job, and it is your livelihood at this point. So, yeah, it's a unique kind of two-sided coin.
Sure.
With football.
Going back to my first question before Drake decided to stick a needle in you, what's that like?
Listen to this, dude. I thought he won a Super Bowl with the Rams.
No, Drake.
Yes,
he did.
He did. No,
it's all good.
That's
You're
what I
not the
missed.
first person, Drake. You're not the first person.
Hey,
you won't be
Blythe,
the last.
does it make you feel horrible that Gervais won a Super Bowl with the Rams?
No, any Hawk that gets a ring is good in my book. But yes, it stings. It stung a lot.
Fucking Jake Gervais, okay? Holy shit!
Not that Jake won. I'm happy for Jake. Obviously,
I'm not.
We are not.
It stung a lot the way that I exited that organization, and then especially followed up by my year in Kansas City, how that went for me.
Yeah.
It did. It was some sour grapes for sure.
Kevin, you can continue in a second. I think this will be a quick answer,
Yeah,
but
go fuck myself. It's all right.
yeah, no, I mean, take one of those fucking awards that you won that's on display and just shove that right
up your ass.
Yeah, shove it up your ass real quick. No,
what is an exquisite looking office, Kevin?
Oh, dude, he's the CEO of Stryker. I mean,
I gotta look the part, man. Gotta look the part. Fake
Have you got I don't know if you guys have mentioned this, but Kev has the mustache rolling right now.
I haven't even noticed.
Yeah, you gotta change things up every now and then, right?
Professional mic.
You said this last season, the 7th season, was finally the season where you woke up and had a ton of days. It was a much bigger disparity of, I feel like I'm going and just playing a game, like I get to live free, instead of saying I got to go to work today. When did you? And they may have already asked you this because I'm an asshole and jumped in late. But when did you know that this was the last year? And did that
make your days more positive?
Well, did it make your days more positive? But then also, did you have thoughts of like, well, shit, if this is the way it's going to be, maybe I could do 1 or 2 more years, right?
Yeah. So we went into this year in Seattle knowing pretty well that it was going to be my last year. After my year in 2020 with the Rams, still the effects of COVID were being felt by the entire league. Salary cap was down, and I just hit free agency at a terrible point because I felt like I played my best ball in 2020. Had a really good year playing center, first full year playing position that I thought I was drafted for, that I thought I would only play in the league. In year 5, I finally got a chance to play that position 100% of the time. And I thought I played really well, had a great year. I was going to go into free agency, either getting a good deal to return with the Rams or, playing out the rest of my career on a 2, 3, 4-year deal somewhere else with good money. But obviously COVID happened, salary cap got screwed. The Rams offered me a shit 3-year deal with, the illusion of a decent contract, but the guaranteed money was just not great. Turned that down, obviously. They offered me a 1-year deal, veteran minimum, which is still a lot of money, but a slap in the face for 4 years in the organization, playing a lot of good football for them. And, I said, screw you. I went and signed the same deal, vet minimum, with a little bit of an incentive with the Chiefs that I thought I was going to hit because it was a playtime incentive. And at the time I signed, they didn't have anybody on the roster. And when they signed me, they're like, yep, you're going to have, good shot to snap to Patrick Mahomes, blah, blah, blah. Great. It was a team I grew up rooting for, Kansas City. And it was a no-brainer. I was super happy to get back to the Midwest, 4 hours from home. Kylie and the kids could go back and forth if they wanted to, as much as they wanted to, rather than a 9-hour travel day, connecting flights, all that good stuff. Who wouldn't make that decision, right? Kansas City's primed to make Super Bowl runs year in and year out. Who wouldn't make that decision? But
I'd have made the same choice.
Right, exactly. Draft rolls around. They take a center with their first pick in the draft or second pick in the draft, whatever it was. And, I'm thinking, okay, it's competition. I've never shied away from competition. Yeah, they drafted a kid that high. They probably expect to start. But at the same time, if I get a shot, I feel like I'll be able to show that I am still the better option. Never even got a chance. Any promise of a competition was just a false promise. I started.
Isn't that so fucked?
It is.
Like,
I didn't take any first team reps with I didn't take any first team reps with Joe Tooney, Orlando Brown, Patrick Mahomes, all those guys until it was backup reps, getting me ready for a game. And that was probably halfway during the season. And even then it was 2-3 reps during the week that I would take with the ones,
I think that's one of the shittiest parts of, and I never had to deal with this, and it's hard coming from my mouth because it's not like I dealt with a whole lot of this, but I watched it happen. I got a lot of time to watch this happen to a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like even in college, they promise like these position battles, right? So occasionally it happened at kicker, and I actually think at the specialist position, maybe because sometimes our special teamers were performing like ass, they were just kicking like dog shit. There actually was a competition, but at other positions, like they promise like you're gonna get a shot, you're gonna get your reps, and if you prove you can do it, you'll be the guy. But almost all the time, I feel like the coaches want to be the guy, more often than not ends up being the guy. Like it's just, and I'm sure you saw that a lot in the NFL. Obviously, it happened to you. So it's like,
yeah. And I will say, like, obviously, the guy that they drafted, Creed Humphrey, he's a great player. He was an All-Pro this year. He's been in the Pro Bowl, whatever. But the fact, when I got to camp, I started taking reps at left guard, a position I think I had maybe 100 snaps in the league playing that during games. I was either a right guard or playing center. And you're gonna try and sit there and tell me that I'm in a competition when I'm taking majority of the reps at left guard behind Joe Tooney, who's a perennial Pro Bowl player? No, like, get out of here. So I'd say all that to answer your question. I thought Kansas City was gonna be my last stop. I thought I was gonna go in, I was gonna get the starting job, earn the starting job. I was going to play well. I was going to earn another contract, and I was going to finish that out with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I was going to retire a Chief. Dream come true. Growing up a Chiefs fan, bing, bang, boom, like done. Go home, right off into the sunset. Year went horrible. The only saving grace I'll say is the guys in the room. A lot of good dudes in the room. Made friendships with all the guys in every organization, but the Chiefs were no different. So those guys really probably saved my aspirations of playing more football. But also just wanting to get that taste out of my mouth. I wanted to play at least another year. And I got the chance to go back up to Seattle with a couple coaches that were in LA when I was. I had a really good relationship with them. Actually, during the season in Kansas City, I told the assistant O-line coach in LA, who was the run game coordinator in Seattle prior to being the O-line coach this last year. I texted him and I said, "Hey, if you need guard help, center help, come get me, or tell me you need me, and I'll be like, hey, cut me, and I'll figure something out, whatever." He's like, gave me the runaround coach speak, whatever. But it's funny how things work. I ended up there obviously this year with those guys and had a ton of fun. Played a lot of good football.
Did Pete Carrol get you a free house?
No, but it's funny. In team meetings, some of that stuff came up because, like, that's how team meetings are. Like, people just giving shit to each other, including the head coach.
That's awesome.
Older guys in the room, like we're talking about, he still loves USC. Pete does.
Oh yeah,
and rightfully so. Like, he grew up in the Bay and went down and coached at USC and just loved it. And somebody said alluding to the fact that blah, blah, blah. And he didn't deny it, that sort of thing, which is funny. He'd be stupid to not believe some of that stuff went on while he was there. But
well, and I think at this point that specific situation is pretty much out in the air. Like, it's very clear that Reggie got, like, him and his mom both got like a car, and his mom got a house.
Well, I mean, he must be fighting for it. So I mean, it's all but confirmed.
Like, hey, fuck it, we won national champions.
Yeah.
Reggie and Matt Liner.
I used to, not knowing Pete, I hated him. Playing in LA, obviously, played the Seattle Seahawks twice a year. Even growing up watching him at USC, but I don't know if there's a coach that I love more than Pete at this point. I mean, he's been awesome. Wow. He was awesome, and I called him and told him that I was retiring, and he's like, "Oh man, that's hard to hear, but at the same time, I understand. Like, you got a family, blah blah blah. Anytime you want to come back, you're like family. Appreciate what you did, blah blah blah." And it's like, I mean, that doesn't happen everywhere, I'm sure. It certainly, I don't think would have happened in Kansas City, with all due respect to that staff and organization, but it just doesn't compare to Seattle, in my opinion.
Wow, that's awesome stuff, man.
Cool.
Yeah, it was very rewarding. So, and then you get to the end of the season, and Kylie and I are like, man, it felt like this is the first place where you were truly appreciated. Guys wanted you on the team. Calling everybody, telling I was retiring, like, it was just hard for them to hear. Blah blah blah. Do we really want to retire? Do we try and play another? That sort of thing. But then it was like, I don't know how you can, Reed is, like I said, he's almost 7, and he's very aware of every time I leave, and it's just all that sort of stuff. And he's getting into grade school now, and we always said that we want to be done when that time came around. And I had a 7-year career, had a ton of fun doing it, and not much more to accomplish. And if you chase a Super Bowl, that's how you end up playing for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be halfway through if I played that long.
Yeah. The one thing for me.
What if you guys play for Pete?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those practices and the way he runs the program, I could probably make it several more years, but
you got to have 16 bad days, 16 hard days, not bad days, or 17 hard days of work. And then the playoffs are like, I can only imagine that's one of the coolest experiences of all time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I've been lucky enough to play in 6 or 7 postseasons, so a lot of good teams.
Start thinking about them game checks, and you're like, "Fuck!"
We really have to give those up.
Dial up the Seahawks after this podcast is over.
You don't have to
tell Pete to call us. You're welcome, Pete.
You'll negotiate for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What day did the game checks hit?
It changed. So when the new CBA went into effect, it's every week now for 34 weeks. And before that, and then before that, it was just one huge check for 17 weeks, which I appreciate getting.
Yeah, how long did it take to get used to that?
What's that?
Just that kind of money. Like, professional sports is a wild.
It was definitely rewarding because, like, in college, obviously, back when we were in school, or when I was in school, I mean, we played with all you guys, but I think the monthly check was $950 or something like that.
And
it
was more. It was more.
It
than
got
that.
bumped up a little bit after you left.
After I left, yeah.
By the time we were seniors, it was about $1,600 a month.
Okay, maybe it got up to
no, dude, it was closer to $2,000
or something like
was
that.
it?
Yeah, it was
maybe it
close
was
to $2,000.
$1,800 a month or something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. But yes, going to Indianapolis my first year and getting those checks, it was like, wow, this is nuts. I mean, this is part of the reason why
Is this real? Is this Monopoly money? Who's
yeah,
punking me?
Yeah, that's part of the dream of playing NFL, right? Is being able to afford all the things that you want to, and definitely been very blessed to have done it for 7 years. So
it's such a weird, when I think about it, like you have a job where people can like look up how much you make, right? And obviously there's taxes involved in that, but like, people know that you over the course of your career have made several $1 million, right? And that's just weird to a lot of people to think about. For a lot of kids, I still feel like I'm a kid at 28, even though mine is sleeping upstairs.
I'm the same way.
You think about that kind of money and you're just like, fuck, like I can do anything I want. But it's just, I imagine that takes a while to get used to. And then like you hear about all the guys all these professional athletes who just blow through it and they are broke and bankrupt like a couple years later. Did you, I mean, for the fans, not so much for us, but like for you, how did you think about that? And how did you financially budget and kind of make sure that like, did you have a plan going into that? You don't have to go into specifics, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Did you have things you wanted to do with it entrepreneurially? I know you have the hunting kind of business, or how do you even describe that you guys run down there? And
yeah, so I guess the way that I always looked at it, my family's been lucky and blessed enough to have been financially successful prior to my NFL career. And
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yep. So, and I think at this point it's.
I'm being an asshole. I heard.
Playing in Iowa, people Google your name and all that stuff. So it's been, people know that, and I don't know if it's public knowledge, but my family's financially successful, and I always wanted to make my own way by playing in the NFL. And, lucky for me that I had been around a little bit of it and, saw the benefits that this kind of money can afford somebody. And, we've really tried to save as much as we could to afford myself the opportunity to not have to work in retirement.
Yeah.
And, the idea and the opportunity to run a hunting business in retirement came to me and my father-in-law, Kylie's dad, in 2018. And we bought that with, earnings in the NFL. And it's been taking off like crazy. We're doing really well. We're in our, what's 2018 to now? 5th year of operation now. And, things are, I guess we're going to go under 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah. So our 6th year of operation this fall. And it's just been, it's been a blessing to be able to have that set up while I was still playing and making money, to have this at a point where it can support, help support Kylie and I, not having to work in retirement. So
how cool is it, the idea of you having total freedom of your time to watch your kids grow up every moment? That's so fucking sick.
Yeah, that was a huge goal of mine, and I'm super, super lucky to be able to do that now. That is my reality now.
It's so cool.
It's awesome. I can coach as much or as little as I want. I can take them to school, pick them up from school. I can, go to every single one of their sporting events, any other special event, dance for my girls, and gymnastics, whatever it may be. I can be there for that. And that's, part of what my motivation was to play as long as I did. And also a huge reason why I decided to stop when I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. Is the entrepreneurial spirit alive in you more than just the hunting business? Do you want to do more stuff, or have you even thought about that?
I do actually. So
good. And I got a pitch for you, Blythe. I got a pitch for you.
All right.
You and the Paulsons make an outdoor show that is also a cooking show, because they're phenomenal cooks of game and they love to hunt too. I'm telling you.
I know.
We pitched it to them about 2 days ago.
Well, I already got on Landon several years ago, or a couple years ago now, whenever he bought his place in Kelowna, which is probably 30 minutes away from Williamsburg, less from where our hunting club is. I'm like, Landon, what are you doing? Buy a house in Williamsburg. Like, you need to, whenever you get married and start having, he wasn't engaged or married at this point. Whenever you get married and start having kids, they need to be in the Williamsburg school district. Like, think of how much fun that would be. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then I find out he bought the house in Kelowna. I gave him so much shit. I'm like, man, I need to get you up to Williamsburg eventually. Him and Levi, too. I mean, both of them.
I don't know, man. They seem to really be all in on Kelowna. They're
gonna be the fucking mayors of that town within, I don't know, 18 months.
They converted to Amish.
The first mayor tandem in the history of politics.
Reminds me of that Always Sunny scene. It's like, we're only hiring one person. It's like, oh no, we're interviewing together. We'll do it for the same salary for
Step Brothers is what I was thinking. The Pan situation.
Yeah. That's totally those two, but yeah, doing something with those guys could be fun for sure. But to answer your question,
Williamsburg have a volunteer fire department?
They do.
Oh, okay. Well, then you
Williamsburg's a bigger community than Kelowna, so maybe I can convince them to come up eventually.
You're gonna have to put on your recruiting hat.
I can.
And you might, and you know what? You can give Pete a call, because he is well at doing that too. You could get some tips. You could just buy them, basically.
Yeah. Throw out a few dollars.
Yeah. Go on about your next venture, potentially.
Yeah. I don't know if it's too much of a venture, but more of like a side hustle type / hobby. I've always, told people if I was dog shit at football, didn't go to college, I would have went into some sort of trade, electrician, carpentry, plumbing, something. So, because I enjoy figuring out how things work, putting things together, taking them apart, whatever. So I would love to buy a house at some point and try and flip it. There's a ton of beautiful, like 4 square houses in Williamsburg that are older, need some love. So maybe, at one point, if I can convince Kylie, maybe when the kids are a little bit older and they're starting to get into school full time, I'll try my hand at real estate. So we'll see.
Fuck it. Just build your own house.
Yeah, actually, we just moved into our place that is 2 years in the making, a week and a half or a week ago. So
no,
you're in a brand new spot.
You actually build it with your own hands.
I would love. That's what I'm saying. Like, I would love to build it, maybe not from the ground up, but buy a house, tear it down to the studs, and just redo it and make it look beautiful.
That'd be sick. That would be sick.
You still talk to Simmons? Is he still into big into the woodworking?
Yes, he's actually building me a table or a bar for my new place. So
Eric Simmons,
one of the
he's also doing
human beings.
Yeah, he's also doing a complete addition on his house in Cedar Falls. It's insane.
And he's doing it obviously because he's good. Yeah.
Boys, I forgot about Simmons.
Big
shout out on the show.
You should have him on. It would be an interesting guy, and I love that guy. He he's one of the guys that we've stayed in constant contact with.
He's so funny.
He is. He is a hoot, and he's still the same guy. Immature, stupid jokes that you can't help but laugh at. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Does he still have long blonde hair?
He does.
Oh,
I ran into him outside the airport randomly one day. I was like,
"Yeah,
Simmons." Yeah. He's like, "Ward, what's up?"
It's unreal.
Yeah,
it was a 15-minute or 15-second conversation. It was like, it's like the scene out of Dumb and Dumber. Is like, "Oh, big gulps."
Yeah.
Oh, see you later.
Yeah. He's another guy that I've tried to get to Williamsburg, and I'd be like, "Hey man, we'll start a woodworking business together." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "No."
No.
All right.
At this point, dude, you've invited a lot of people to come live in Williamsburg. I'm kind of offended that we have not gotten an invite.
Kevin, I mean, come live in Williamsburg.
Williamsburg's a nice spot.
you're engaged now. Bring your fiance over. I'll show you the town, the schools, the amenities.
I heard they got a nice golf course over there.
Beautiful golf course.
Kev, you want to know what? Outside of
Tanner Miller, ask Tanner Miller about it.
I will. Yeah.
Kev, I could actually see you 100% in Williamsburg.
100%. I could see this happening.
It feels like you're a Williamsburg guy.
Buy a house right next to Blythe.
Maybe.
That's right.
You guys could coach on the high school staff. And then you guys, like Regina, they have a whole staff of former Hawks. You guys could just.
Yep. I'm trying to get Travis Perry's married to a Williamsburg girl. I'm trying to get them back to town.
Tuna?
Big tune.
Yeah. Big tune.
Yeah.
We gotta have Travis back on.
Conglomerate of Hawks.
Yeah.
There's
not a whole lot of people that stay around. Like I live in Coralville right now, but there's not a whole lot of people that stay like here. But there's still a bunch of Hawks peppered around Eastern Iowa.
I'm trying to make Williamsburg, Kinnick West.
Okay.
The hub.
That's right.
Just it's like
that's every dude's dream though. Hold on, Kluver. Moving all your friends to the same city and just hanging out forever. That's every kid's dream.
And then all your kids dominate on the same sports teams.
I mean, everybody's talked about that since they were like 10 years old.
That's
the dream right there.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring that dream to life.
All right. Well, it starts with
never let the dream die, Blythe. I love that.
You get the Paulsons there, and then we'll talk. All right.
Deal.
Seriously.
So now we're talking. The Paulsons are going to be the domino that knocks over the whole pile.
Oh yeah.
Williamsburg is going to win 47 state titles in a row because Blythe started the conglomerate.
Blythe, how much did you weigh? How much did you weigh in fourth grade? The Paulsons weighed 150.
I saw that in fourth grade. I was in the 128-pound division.
Light.
That's still insane.
Yep.
How many gallons of milk a week did the Blythe family drink?
There's no fucking way they went through 17 gallons.
You heard that?
Dude, he said it confidently.
So it's those two, their sister, and then their parents.
Two sisters, right?
They have two sisters.
Two sisters. So 4 kids and 2 parents.
So
there were 4 boys and my parents, so 6. We had 6 as well. We went through like 7 or 8.
That's what we had, and I'm like the youngest of 3 in my 2 parents.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's so much milk. That's
more than 2 gallons a night.
Yes. And he said his dad came home from work every single night with 2 gallons of milk. So drink for dinner, whatever, breakfast, lunch, and then
like if we were all home and you need dinner, we would kill 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons. No
delete problem. 2 gallons of milk.
That's not every night though.
For them, it was evidently. I don't know.
That is insane.
You got to figure they're using a lot of milk in their cooking too, making big vats of mac and cheese.
Yeah,
I
suppose.
Yeah. All right, that's probably it. Yeah.
Some
buttermilk
pancakes.
315 pounds, I guess.
Yeah.
Fuck. I actually got a text from a fan that was absolutely bewildered by the 17 gallons of milk.
Bewildered.
So shout out Mike Burrows. He absolutely bewildered by the 17 gallons of milk a week.
That is a very good.
Which I'm pretty sure every fan was, but
yeah,
we were.
I saw the clip. I shared the same reaction.
Yeah, it's some of the clips we get from this show, like the Riley Moss clip of him talking about.
Did you see that clip, Blythe?
I didn't.
Oh man, Riley Moss was talking about Cooper DeJean and where he went to high school. And it's some acronym name. And he goes, some OBGYN school or something. And we lost our minds.
That bitch got 70,000 views on TikTok.
There you go. Yep. You got it to the moon.
To bring it back around here and to start the wrap up of this show, you were like a 3-time, 4-time wrestling state champ, right? 3-time. Just couldn't get that 4th. Was that freshman year that you?
Really hard.
Was it freshman year that you didn't win it?
Yeah, I got 2nd.
To
who? Some big giant dude.
He just laid on you?
No, he went and played football at Drake, which I don't know why. Drake doesn't even have any postseason ball. But anyway, he was 6'5", full 285 at that. And I was a little boy at that point, but
yeah.
yeah.
But you're a stud. You're a stud. I think were you not just inducted into the high school Hall of Fame?
I was.
Congrats
Shout
on that, by
out
the way.
to you.
Thank you.
Stud. Then you went on to Iowa. Don't even wrestle. You're playing football. You're playing a different sport at the Division I level. You clearly were a successful athlete. You talked about how your family obviously had some financial success, not because of you. You're just a little kid at that point, but you come from a successful family. You have a lot going for you. I'm curious, in your 30 years, and maybe it happened throughout your time at Iowa or the last 7 years in the NFL, what were some of the more challenging times for you? Like when did you really run into like serious obstacles where like there was like a fork in the road, like, or maybe there wasn't any?
Yeah, actually, my rookie year, Kylie and I were, freshly married. We both had not been living. We didn't have to go to work, go to school anywhere further away than Iowa City is to Williamsburg. And that's about 25 minutes for people who don't know. So going to Indianapolis, which is still a car's drive away. It's 5 hours in a car to get to Indianapolis. Our family could be there, all that good stuff. But it was such a shock. We got married right before my senior year, that 2015 season. We get pregnant that same season. Reed is born right as we have veteran mini camp, my rookie year. We go into camp with a 3-month-old, 2.5-month-old kid in an extended stay hotel.
Ooh.
It was miserable. I would not recommend for anybody to do that.
Not many people have that opportunity, by the way.
My girl's 4 months, so I know exactly what 2.5 months is.
Yeah, right. So we're in that stage of life. I'm in a spot where my job is not secure in a very volatile job market. As a 7th round pick, I had no security.
Shout out to you, by the way, for saving the Hawks in that draft. By the way,
yeah, we already shouted them out. You weren't
okay.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, being a fucking dad,
So all that, and then throughout the year, it's still no job security. I was a inactive guy for most of the year, and then to top it off, we've got a new kid. I was never around kids as a kid. I didn't grow up with anything, so I didn't know how to be a dad at that point. Like, there were some rough spots for myself, for Kylie, for our family. So I think that we had to overcome a lot to continue playing, to have a successful marriage, for me to be a good parent. Kylie was always a rock star. She's always been a fantastic mother and wife and all that good stuff. But that rookie year, I was not. I just had so much change all at once, trying to make it in a career field that people wash out of, obviously at a very high rate. So that was probably like the biggest obstacle that I've ever had to deal with. And now it's just life. Here we are 7 years in, or after a 7 year with 3 kids, and better than ever, and just very lucky.
Reed's a little legend. He looks just like you.
He is. Yeah, he looks just like me, blonde, with blue eyes. It's crazy. Like, he's a big kid for his age. He's, I don't know, over 4 feet tall now, almost 100 pounds, and it's like that was me. I was that kid, and it's been fun. And again, another huge reason why I decided to be done when we did, and is to be more involved and active in their lives. So.
Is he trying to wrestle you yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you let him get the takedown, or you just pin his ass?
Oh yeah. I want to. So wrestling is inherently a not fun sport.
It's horrible, dude.
Practice sucks. Competitions are awesome when you win, but when you lose, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've tried to make it as fun as I can for him, because I want him to wrestle so bad. I will never tell him that.
Yeah.
But obviously as a father, I'll be supportive of whatever he chooses. But if he wrestles out, I'll do everything I can to make it as fun for him as it should be, because wrestling it's very rewarding. It's very fun when you win, when you have success, and you get in what you put in, or you get out what you put in. So it's just an ultimate teaching tool too. So, but yeah, I let him take me down. So it's hard though, because his arm's so short, and like I need to lose weight first.
Are we planning on dropping off all the offensive lineman weight, or
I'm gonna try. So I've always kind of been.
Or we call it Pete and thinking about year 8.
No, well, I think
programs run pretty cake. It sounds.
I think I was one of the first to know that Blythe was retiring. He hit me up I don't know when, like earlier this year, and was like,
it would have been February, I think, shortly after the season. I was like, hey, I think at some point I'm gonna need the exercise I've always been fine with. Like I'll figure out how to work out and stuff. But I'm like, the eating stuff, it's like I've never had to diet. I've never had to watch what I've eaten. So I'm like,
it's always just eat as much as you want when you're hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, Blythe hit me up. He's like, dude, I think I need like a nutrition plan. I was like, fuck, you need a nutrition plan for? Like you're not trying to lose weight. And he goes, I am. I'm retiring. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it hilarious that everybody hits up Kluver's fat ass for nutrition tips, because now he's the most jacked out of any former teammate we've ever fucking had.
He's the proof of what he's preaching. I mean, he's firsthand experience.
I would never say names on air, but there are some guys. You know that clip I play of like everybody fucking hated Kluver, all right, when he was first in the program. Now everybody loves him. Some of those guys that would fall in the category that KF was talking about when he said that. There's a lot of guys who didn't like me, never talked to me in our first 2 years on the team. I've been hit up by so many of those dudes for a workout program or help with their diet. And I never drop their name. I never say like, oh, fucking come running back to the little annoying bitch that was in the program. Huh? But it is funny now, 5 years after.
Are we talking coaches or teammates?
I've had both.
Oh,
Coach Wallace hit me up for a full on like plan one time.
Consultation.
And
then he realized what that meant, that he couldn't have his snacks, and he decided he wasn't about it.
Dude, the coaches, unless a coach
does not lend itself to eating healthy, being
it's
healthy.
So the coach's
you're
lifestyle
around an athlete's like caloric availability at all
and
times.
You're late at night watching film. I'm gonna go grab a candy bar and a pop, and
they don't sleep. Yeah. Sleep is so important to your to weight control. It's crazy.
And they're traveling on the road all the time during recruiting season. Dude, the weight fluctuation every year, it's just like, okay, it's skinny season for them now. And now the season hits, it's time to get back up in
hibernation season.
Yeah, it's that hibernation weight. Yeah, fuck yeah. Blythe, do you have any idea? I mean, you just said you never really had to deal with diet stuff. Do you have any clue on how many calories you were eating to maintain the size over the last 7 years?
I mean, so I have that Apple Watch that I wear daily, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I probably burn somewhere between 3,200 and 3,600-ish, probably, just being as big as I am, and then whatever activity I get during the day.
Yeah.
So I mean, to not be losing as much weight with the activity and workouts that I was doing, I'd probably eat at least 3,500 calories every day.
I would put you.
It was more than that, 6,000.
It was probably closer to
minimum,
5,500.
Yeah, at the very minimum. Like at the heavy training days, I was probably burning 5,000 to 6,000 calories.
Yeah.
Like if you have a hard camp day, like plus water weight, good stuff.
Yeah, linemen always fascinate me because it's just now when I think back about some of the guys you played with, any of the linemen that were there, just watching them eat like so much throughout the day. I mean, some of those guys eat like 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 calories. It's wild, man.
Oh, just watching all the fluids that they would intake was
I know.
I think even more impressive.
Were you a guy that fluctuated a lot with your weight in those hot practices where you'd go down like 10 pounds of sweat?
Yeah, not every day though. That was I was always like a 6, 7-ish type guy, and if I hit that number, it was a bad day. Like in terms of you know, long practice. You had to do 9-on-7 friggin' twice. You had to do blocks twice. You had to start. Those were the type of days where I'd lose 10. But I've always been.
Give us the KF impersonation of we got to start all over.
I'm not as good as you guys. I would just butcher. I wouldn't. I'd go on like I'd be a meme after that. But
fucking no. Fucking start it again.
There was one.
What the fuck are we doing?
The worst day for that in my career. We were in Kinnick. It was prior to the indoor being done. KF had just talked in a team meeting about guys wearing. We were just in helmets, and then the spiders.
This would have been your freshman year, then, huh?
It probably would have been. I think it would have
The
been
indoor or
third year, I think, because we were in or yeah.
The indoor was done when we got there in 2013.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So okay.
The rest of the facility was not, but the indoor was.
Yeah. Okay. So the outside, the fields weren't ready yet.
No.
Okay.
Like when they converted them
for a time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was still. It would have been. I think when Nolan McMillan was still on the team. Where did you guys?
It was 13.
That was our true freshman year.
Yeah. Okay. So it was the fall of 13. You guys remember this probably. Guys were not wearing their spiders when they were supposed to be. And
I remember.
Yeah,
I remember
we were
this.
doing 9-on-7. We were doing blocks, and guys weren't wearing their protective stuff. And KF and the team meeting is like, we got guys not wearing their stuff. Like, we got to wear them, blah, blah, blah. We go out to practice that same day. We get through individual. We get through, I think, one more.
Fuck, I do remember this. We were in Kinnick.
It was not good.
Individual. We get to, like, pass individual.
We were like a quarter of the way through the practice.
Go back. Anybody who doesn't have their stuff in, go get that shit on. We started stretch over. We did individual
the
again.
entire practice back from the beginning. I forgot about that.
I remember it. And Casey was so fucking pissed because I'm a specialist, dude. Why am I wearing the fucking shells, right?
For sure.
And this is a reason why people hated me.
That's
because
just
I just
the principle
assumed.
of Iowa football.
Wait, Kluver, were you guilty?
Guilty. Had to run back up.
You
put them on.
motherfucker.
I did, dude. I didn't touch people in practice. Why would I wear those?
It's just the principle of it, Klug. Come on.
Yeah.
I know.
The head coach tells you to eat shit off the ground. You eat it. All right.
Hey, but we know what kind of guy I was in 2013. I wasn't a guy of principle.
As
I
previously established, you're one of those fuckers that everyone hated.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Blythe, I remember one more before we let you go here. There was a time, this would have been 14 or 15, where we had to run hundreds.
That was spring of 2015.
You know what I'm talking about?
Right before my senior.
Were you walking them like out of spite? Were you like I remember you jawing back and forth with the coaches at this point. Like I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's because we were fighting.
Everybody thought I was, but this is so even Doyle. Doyle hated. I was in Doyle's doghouse after this. Like hated me.
I didn't know what happened.
I couldn't do anything right leading up to. So that was spring ball. I couldn't do anything leading up to our May testing. I couldn't do anything right coming back for summer workouts. Like I had to re-earn kind of like
senior respect.
Yeah. And it was not intentional. It was a fight that caused us to start running those. And I'd never run more than the cut 85s in my life. Like, and that's
Same.
just so you do your cuts and you do your 55. That's the longest I've ever ran in my life. That's the longest sprint I've ever done in my life. Prior to that, running those though, there was a fight. This is like the first fight of my entire career that I actually get in on. I was not throwing punches, but I'm trying to pull guys off. Like I'm tired. Like after that, and Cave was like, "Get him on the line, guy." I'm trying to take my knee braces off. We had to run in knee braces, helmets strapped up, gloves taped. If your elbows were taped up, like we had to run in everything. I was dead ass tired. That's the only reason that I was trying to run harder. I was, and nobody thought that.
I thought you were doing it on purpose, dude.
No.
Like fuck these coaches. I'm going slow.
No.
And I knew you weren't that kind of guy. I'll never forget that because we were in the specialists were in the indoor because that's where we had space to kick and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Joel was still there at this time. He's like,
Yep,
he's
he
like,
would've been.
specialist, get the fuck out there, and I'm like, oh no, what the fuck happened? People are lining up, and we're just looking at each other like, oh, we're fucked, dude. The special, we do warm up, and then
think it had to be. I don't even know if it was that. Like, we were almost done with practice.
Almost done.
I don't think we ended up. I think it was like the last, because it was like a scrimmage. It was like one-on-ones. Because I remember Desmond was one of the main subjects, and then I think Boone Myers was.
Wow, real big shocker here.
Right. So, but I don't even know if we ended up running that many sprints. But I was dead ass tired,
dude.
I mean, it was bad.
I'll never forget it. I went from the specialist had been inside. Our muscles had been cold for 90 minutes.
And I think it was like, towards the end of spring ball too, like one of the last practices too.
Dude, I was so fucking pissed, man. I was just like, all right, here we go. I'll never forget that. That's the one story from like practice that I remember Blythe being involved in.
Yeah. I mean, it was so bad. Like after that, I'm doing the lifting. I'm in a lift group, and I always lifted on the long racks, the row that had the most racks on it.
Yep.
I was always towards the end. The older guys were on that end, whatever. Towards the end, the indoor end.
Yep.
I was always one of those last racks. At the time I was probably one of the longest. It took the longest times to lift towards the end of my college career, and at that point, people were still lifting towards the middle of that row. People between those folks and then myself, who was still lifting, doing the lifts in the rack. People in between us had gotten done. Doyle comes over. He's like, "What are you doing? You think you can big shot lift on your own, just away from everything, not lift with your teammates?" And I'm like, it was like, really?
Isn't he fucking dude? Is he not the best at just creating a story? And now, and now you're like, oh fuck.
I was in the biggest doghouse ever for just obviously just a total misunderstanding.
Yeah. I've been there.
Wild stuff.
Fun story to remember though, because
you boys got anything else?
Thoroughly.
How's our guy Corbin doing?
Corbin's doing great. He's living the life down in Arizona, so I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
That's where Drake is.
The place to be.
Hey, who's all going to Sean's wedding here in a couple month or so?
I'll see you there.
Month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
I will not be.
Yeah, good stuff.
Unfortunately, I won't either. Got to go to Bo's, and then we got to go to Vegas for a wedding.
Okay. You guys are all in that time of your lives. All your friends getting married.
Bro, I've been getting
expensive.
smashed with weddings, dude. Like, I got invited to 12 last year.
Yeah, I believe it.
Well, Kev, you're a big wedding guy though. You pull those.
You
invites.
Well,
somebody's got to do it.
You can't
go to all
performances every other week.
I don't know. Well, hey, the best don't take games off, right?
Man, you can't take games off in the NFL, right? But when you have an MLB schedule, sometimes you got to take game off.
You're on a 5-day rotation. You're in the.
It's a lot of benders.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's I think the next couple years, pretty much all of our age guys are gonna get hitched up here, except for Drake, because I don't know what his deal is.
Just a slower starter, man.
Takes him a while to get going. I don't know if they introduced you to G-Bone at the front end of this podcast.
Oh shit, G-Bone! I did it again. G-Bone, get in here.
He's our producer. He's a student at Iowa right now.
What's going on, Austin?
You've just been listening to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hang out in case I'm needed.
He could have told Drake that you didn't win a Super Bowl, but Drake didn't ask.
It's Grant's fault, huh?
Yeah, Grant, do you have any questions?
These guys better pay you.
I get paid in a cool trip to Nashville. So
okay, all right.
That's how I get paid. But I do have a couple questions for you though, Austin.
Yeah.
So I listened back to the first time you were on the show, and Drake introduced you as the godfather to his degeneracy, and I was curious if you could expand on that a little bit.
Do you remember this story?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume it's from gambling.
From Jacksonville.
You'd assume correctly.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, you guys
I
went
wanted
on
to bring this story up, but we were running out of time. So I just
You guys went on the boat, didn't you?
and missed curfew.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Oh, fuck.
And
No,
I
did
thought
we
I was
miss
dead,
Louis
but I knew I was
Phillips?
with Blythe, so I'm like, I'm gonna
Well,
survive.
it was me and Weissman. We were like
Yes.
the two that were like, hey, we're good. The boat was delayed, blah 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 blah, whatever, and yeah, we were good. That's right.
Shit.
I forgot you were on that trip, but yeah, there was like a handful. Louis Trinket-Passat.
Yep.
Who else was on that trip?
I don't remember, but I remember that was the first time Louis ever liked me. Because
Yeah.
Louis was a tough cookie to crumble there for a while.
He is. Yeah.
And
Dude, talk about a 180. Louis, he's 140 pounds, and like I don't think there's a mean bone in his body now. He's all about Jesus.
Yep.
Crazy.
Good for him.
That's the story, Grant. The bull trips get a little rowdy in the first couple days.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
and a bunch of per diem to gamble with, so we went offshores.
Yeah, and it was not good for my per diem. I know that.
No, you never went on the boat, man.
I think
Yeah.
I
No,
lost
I
50
didn't.
bucks or something like
I did.
that. But
Fair enough. And then this is good that Kluver's here. I've always wondered this. I've never put it down a football before, but I've always wondered: do centers have any beef with like long snappers?
No, I don't. I've never had any beef with long.
No,
snap. Maybe Kluver in particular, but no one else.
Blythe didn't even know I was on the team. They do get a bad name though, a little bit, and I feel bad because when you tell a person who doesn't know anything about football that you're a long snapper, that you snap it, they automatically assume, you're the center.
Yep.
And then you have to tell them, no, they play a lot more than me, and they're much bigger and stronger. I come in, and better, and I come in sometimes.
I would argue though that you have a more critical job. Obviously, there's more. Listen. Who was the guy that sailed in a college bowl game this year that sailed however many over the guy's head?
I will say this.
That was a guaranteed loss after he did that. You're right.
I mean,
I will say this. If it's by play, like per capita of play, there's more riding every time I go out on the field than if like you botch a snap. It's like, cool, second down and 12.
I feel like there's way more margin for error like snapping center than there is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like hitting driver versus wedge.
Yeah. There's. Right. I'll say it all the time, and I'll say it until the end of time. When there's when special teams goes out there, right? The specialists are much closer to fucking the entire game up than you think they are. it is much closer.
No doubt.
So just
there's a huge stat to your point, Klub. There's a huge stat that if you have a negative play on special teams, your chances of winning the game go down significantly.
Yeah, tried to minimize those.
Yep.
Tried to. Was tough for a while. Cornbrath, Dylan Kidd, fucking Kaluzzi. I mean, what are we doing? Huh? But yeah, no, it's there's no beef. I like the center.
Cool.
That's good. Yeah.
You better that you get beat up if you didn't. Fucking stuff you in your shoe locker, you little weirdo.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Blythe, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah,
thanks for having me, man. Maybe in another 300 episodes we can do it again.
No, we'll bring you on before that.
Man.
Yeah.
We're running out of content to talk about, so we
you're not.
rely on guests even heavier these days.
At some point, we're just gonna have a rotation of like 20 guests, and it's gonna be every 5 months. We just keep bringing you on.
No, this is great. You guys are doing a great job. I'm proud of how you guys have taken it.
People keep saying that. I'm fucking
Thanks, man.
Confused, but thank you very much.
Confused. I think you tweeted the other day. You're doing your athletic training stuff and working from home because of this, right? Partly because of this.
Yeah, half and half.
There you go. Yeah,
it is dope. I never thought that we'd be in this position. So, appreciate you coming on. Awesome Blythe episode, whatever the fuck it is, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.
Appreciate you.